Good morning, children, and welcome back. This is Suman Bhatia, your SS teacher, and we are going to continue the chapter Understanding Law, the part 2 of the chapter of Standard 8 Political Science. So, student, in the last topic of our discussion of part 1, we saw that how laws are equal for everyone, and we saw the pre-independence laws. Now, in this section of part 2, we are going to see the post independence law of our country. So, students, we in part 1 we saw that Hindu Succession Act was made, and many such acts were made in the time, and changes were made according to the need of the people. So, here we are going to see few of that laws. So, first, Parliament has a very important role in framing and making of the law. So there are many ways through which this action of making the laws take place. So Parliament is very sensitive to the needs of the people and the problems faced by the people. So recently, if you see this past 2-3 years, many new acts have been made in our country. For example, the Act of Jammu and Kashmir reorganization. You all know Jammu and Kashmir was a state in the northern part of our country. But now, after the amendment of the law, Jammu and Kashmir is divided into two union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. So in this way, the second act, that is the Triple Talaq Act, that was reintroduced or brought into act for the benefit of the Muslim women in our country, because it was a law in the Muslim community that instant divorce can be given to a woman. So because of this, women were facing a lot of problem. So to provide security to the married life of the women of the Muslim community, this triple talaq was introduced, in which there is a law that if any person gives an instant divorce, he can be put into the jail for 3 years. So in this way, many beneficial acts have been made in our country for the benefit of the people. One of such act is the Domestic Violence Act. So first, let us study in detail what does domestic violence means. So students, here you can see domestic violence refers to the injury or a harm or a threat given to a person. It may be a woman or a man, both can be done. But mostly in our country, we can see the women fall victim to this problem. So it can be a threat given verbally, it can be a threat given physically. Okay, so the adult male, usually who is the husband, if he does any domestic violence on his wife, the injury can be caused physically also. If she is beaten up, she is emotionally abused, she has been given bad words or any such kind of things, it can be treated as a domestic violence. In majority of the cases, this violence comes from the husband's side. Okay, but this domestic violence is applicable on each and every man, a father, a brother, or any individual man. If the woman is sharing her house with someone, brother, husband, father, and if anyone is doing any kind of violence with her, physical violence, mental violence, emotional violence, verbal abuse, physical abuse, whatever kind of thing, then the woman has the right to approach the court. So abuse of a woman can also include verbal, sexual, or economic abuse. If she is not financially stable, or she is not getting any financial economical help, or she is removed from the property and other things, so this is also one kind of domestic violence against. Okay, so the Protection of the Woman from Domestic Violence Act 2005 extends the understanding of the term domestic to include all the women who live and have shared their house with any kind of male member who is perpetrating the violence, who is creating the violence on that women. So Domestic Violence Act of 2005. So here we are going to study this Domestic Violence Act and how this Domestic Violence Act journey was started and how long does it takes and how the rectifications were done in this Domestic Act. Let us see with the help of a storyboard here. So here you can see the newspaper is there. Okay, so Sazia and here Kusum, they are two women who are talking. Sazia is telling, did you read today's newspaper? There is not a great news for women today. Why? So she said, not just for women. Violence-free home is a benefit for everyone. Okay, so now the Domestic Violence Act has been rectified. So Kusum is feeling very happy and she's sharing her happiness with Sazia. So both of these women are working for the women organization and they remember the journey of the protection of the women from Domestic Violence Act got passed. So here in the storyboard you can see many women are coming to this Kusum and Sazia in 1991 April and they are sharing their problems with these two women. So these the woman is coming and telling them my husband is beating me and I feel very ashamed to talk all these things to everyone. The other old woman, she's telling my son and my daughter-in-law are abusing me verbally. I want some help. Okay, they are trying to throw me out of the house. So this Kusum and Sazia say there is unfortunately the existing law is a criminal one and does not offer this option. So we cannot help you in this situation because the law in 1991, the domestic violence law, was not handling these situations under that topic. So a public hearing, meeting was held and people started debating, looking after the solution for this problem, and a lot of lawyers, they gathered collectively. They formed a group, the law students and the social workers, they all gathered. They made a nationwide meeting and they raised their voice and they took a lead in drafting the Domestic Violence Prevention and Protection Bill. So this amendment was made and this law was framed later on and the law was made. But when this law was made, the women were not satisfied with the type of the amendment in the law. They said the points that we discussed with the government, the points that we wanted to include in this domestic protection bill was not there. So they wanted the government to rectify it. They wanted the government to make changes in this system. So the meetings were held with different organizations and finally the bill was introduced in the parliament in 2002. Okay, but this bill was none of the topics were there and these people wanted to rectify it. So again the women in December 2002, the standing committee submitted the recommendation to the Rajya Sabha and this bill was again tabled in the Lok Sabha. Then the members of the committee, they accepted most of the demands of the women's group. Finally, the new bill was introduced in the parliament in 2005 and after being passed in both the houses of the parliament, that is the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, it was sent to the president for his assent. And then finally the Protection of the Women from Domestic Violence Act came to be effect in 2006. So in this way, now the women were very happy and they were happy that a violent-free environment at home was there, provided to them from the law from the parliament. So this is a civil law aimed at providing relief to millions of women, including the wife, mother, daughters and sister who were affected by the violence in their home. So this law of domestic protection, domestic violence protection, was not only beneficial to the wives, but it was always beneficial to the daughters also, to the sisters also, and all the women who were facing this problem. So children, here you can see a image here. the yellow color image, बराबरी के रिश्ते हिंसा से मुक्त means equal relationship are violence free. So if anybody wants a violence free environment, then the person should have equality in every sense. They should be treated equal in making decisions in the family. They should be treated equal in all the aspects in the family. Then only a equal relationship can be given in the family, and the environment of the house can be a violence free. So often women who face the violence or are abused are seen as victim in the society. They fall victims, means people look, yes, they are very poor and they cannot do anything and other such thing. But many women in the society have struggled out through this situation. They have stood very strong in several different ways and they have survived through these situations. And now today women are called as survivors rather than the victims of these problems. So in our country, many laws are amended, many laws are brought according to the needs of the people, according to the needs of the situation. The laws are amended, rectified and brought into force. So students, here you can see the role of the citizen is also very important in helping the parliament to frame different laws that the people require. Until and unless people demand the change in the law, until and unless people demand, the public demands some rectification in the situation, the parliament cannot do anything. For establishing a new law to be passed at every stage of the process, the voice of the citizen is an important element. This voice can be heard through TV reports, newspaper editorials, radio broadcasting, local meetings, discussions, which help in making the work that the government does more easily and it's very transparent to the people. So the working of the parliament depends upon the voice of the people. The raising the voice against the situation is a duty of each and every citizen of the country. Until and unless we raise our voice, the government, the parliament or the law cannot do or help us in any way. So children, this is the topic, how the new laws come and how the new laws are framed. We also study the domestic violence and people need to raise their voice against this. So this is a topic. In the next video we will come with unpopular and controversial laws. Until that, thank you for watching the video. Stay safe, stay happy.